Hi, friends. Today I'm going to show you how you can use the 7 steps to solve bar models and also how we solve bar models using addition and multiplication. So, you do have this. I asked you to keep this in your black folder, as well as the strategy of using cubes as a way to mark up word problems. So take a look at that. It's a front and back sheet that is staying in your living in your black homework folders. And I will also have that available in the classroom. So as we move through word problems where we are using the strategy of bar models, you can easily refer to this. Okay, so how do we use this? These are the 7 steps. The first thing that we do is when we read a bar model word problem, the first thing we do is mark it up. And the reason we mark it up is so that we can see how we can slow down as we're reading the word problem. That's really, really important. And how we can circle the important numbers, underline the question, box keywords that help us think about what we need to do. Do we need to add or subtract or multiply or divide? In this case, I will tell you for these 2 word problems, it does focus on addition and multiplication. So the first thing you do is you mark up the word problem. And I'm going to show you how we use this for the 2 problems that are on this yellow chart. They are the same ones that you did last night for homework. And I wanted to repeat them so that you can watch this video and see how it looks for bar models with addition and multiplication. So step 1, mark up the word problems. Step 2, so that we don't forget, at the bottom of the page or the space that you have to do your calculations, you write an answer statement with a blank in the middle or at the end, or even in the beginning, which leaves space for your answer. And the reason we do this is because we want to make sure that when we read word problems that we respond to it in a sentence. Third step is to identify who or what is involved in the problem. And the reason we need to identify is because when we go to create the bars, we can write the name of the person or the initials or initials of the object that is involved in the problem. Then we draw the unit bars and we reread the problem and fix it however we need to. We show our work and then we fill in the answer. So you can see that this is going to take some time. And it's really asking you to slow down, because if you don't slow down, you might miss some of these steps. And then you might get, some of your calculations incorrect, and the answer then will be incorrect also. So make sure you're taking your time to look at the 7 step bar model steps. Okay, let's use this to now go ahead and solve this problem. And I'm just going to put this here. I just don't have the space on this in the screen. So I'm going to put this over here, and then you won't see this again for the second one. Okay. So it says here, Spiky has 3 times as many stamps as Curly. They have 64 stamps altogether. How many stamps does Spiky have? So you see that I read it first, so I know what the problem is going to look like. And then I'm ready now to cube. And you can use a highlighter. If you have a highlighter at home, you can use a pencil to circle. I'm just using a different color so you can see how I use cubes to mark up the problem. Okay. So Spiky has 3 times as many. The first thing I'm going to do is circle. C for cubes. C is circle the important numbers that you might need. So 3 times as many stamps as Curly. They have 64 stamps altogether. How many stamps does Spiky have? So the next thing is U for underline the question. This is the question. How many stamps does Spiky have? And then box keyword. So this is a keyword. Times as many. 3 times as many stamps as Curly. They have 64 stamps all together. This is how we mark up a problem. Okay, so now I'm going to pause for a moment, and I'm going to ask you to just pay attention to this language right over here 3 times. And what is that asking you to do? So think about operations. Is it asking you to add, subtract, multiply, divide? The big clue right over here. And so what I've taught you in class is to right away at the top put the signal over here, the symbol that tells you what you need to do. In this case, it's times. So we're going to put multiplication. We can put an X that represents the multiplication symbol. So we don't forget we're going to multiply. Also, don't forget multiplication is the same thing as repeated addition. So if you have 2 times 6, it's really repeating the 2 6 times, or the 6 2 times. Okay, it's really, really important to understand that, because that helps us with the bar models. Okay, the next thing that we need to do is we need to make sure we identify who or what is in the problem. In this case, we have S for spiky. I'm going to put S for spiky and C for curly, so I don't forget. Okay, and then what I need to do is draw the unit bars and adjust after rereading. So this is what I need to do. I need to identify who's in the problem as spiky and curly. I keep it tight because I don't want to put a big gap, because when I draw by bar models, they should be together. And then when I go to draw the unit bar, one of the things that I've shared with you in the classroom is to make sure that you show them, show the bars so they are representing equal amounts for both people for the first step. And I'll show you why. So for right now, if I show this, okay, and we're going to give this a variable, the unknown. So I'm going to give the letter N. Okay, students have learned about this in the classroom, that when we don't know the amount or value, what we're trying to figure out, we give it a variable, a letter, a lowercase letter. So we don't know what this is yet. This looks like right now spiky and curly both have the same number of stamps. But that's not what this says. This says spiky has 3 times as many as curly. And so what does that look like? 3 times as many means right now spiky has the same amount. We want it 3 times as many. So it would be 1, 2, 3. I would need to draw another 2 boxes. And friends, it is so important that when you draw your boxes, your bars, that they're the same, about the same size, okay? And I know that can be hard sometimes, but we want to make the effort of doing that. So that's 2 times as many. This is 3 times. But I'm not done because I still don't know what these are. So I'm going to need to label them. Okay. Now it looks like spiky has 3 times as many as curly. And we now know we've done this part. So I put a check mark here. That's something that I've also shown you in the classroom so that you know you're taking all the steps. They have 64 stamps altogether. So how do we do that? And we show it like this. 64 stamps. We don't forget the units. Really important. It's stamps, 64 stamps. Okay, so I included this information. Now it says, how many stamps does Spiky have? We need to figure out how much Spiky has, how many stamps he has. So what calculations will we need to do? Okay, first step. I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 equal groups. Do you see those 4 equal groups? Okay, so then you need to say 64 divided by 4. 64 divided by 4. And I'm going to write, I don't have space here, but if I was to use the standard column method and show 64 divided by 4, it would look like this. 64 divided by 4, right? I show my place value. 4 goes into 6 once. This is really a 10. It's 4 times 10 is 40. And I get 24 as a answer, as the subtraction right here. So 4 into 24 is 6. 4 times 6 is 24. And I get 0. So my quotient here is 16. So I can just bring it back here. Again, if I had, I would want to show that over here if I had the space. I don't, because I wanted to show you the 2 different ways of solving 2 different problems. So 64 divided by 4 equals 16. But what is that 16? That 16 really represents n. So we need to indicate that. So we would say n equals 16. Okay. Now that we know what n is, what I've shown you in the classroom is just to plug it in here. Okay. So that's step 1. Step 2, we're still not done, because even though we showed what each of these boxes, these bars are, we didn't answer the question, how many stamps does Spiky have? So we need to do what? We need to look at Spiky And we can say 16 times 3, or 16 plus 16 plus 16. But I'm going to use multiplication because that's what I want to practice doing. And again, if I had the space, I would show it. I'm going to show it to you on this over here. 16 times 3. Let's use standard column. I always set it up like this so I don't forget my place value. 6 times 3 is 18. Some of you like to carry up on here. Not a problem at all. This is how I'm showing it to all of you in case you forget a step, okay? So 6 times 3 is 18. 10 times 3 is 30. And when we add that, we get 48. Okay, so going back over here, 6 times 3 is 48. But what does that 48 represent? It is how many stamps Spiky has. And again, you see that a mistake that I made here was that I did not write an answer statement over here. I should have done that right in the beginning. So I should have said Spiky has blank stamps, right? I should have done that in the beginning. And then now that I have the answer, I just fill it in. Spiky has 48 stamps. So that is how we use multiplication for bar models. How do we now use addition? So I'm giving you the answer because I wanted you to see that the addition bar model looks very different. Well, not very different, a little different than the one for multiplication. So let's take a look at this one and let's cube it again. Okay. So it says Chris has 6 more rocks in his collection than Penny. Together they have 72 rocks. How many rocks does Chris have? So Chris has 6 more. 6 more makes me think I need to add, right? So if I have a certain amount and I'm given 1 more or 2 more, I'm adding. So I'm going to put an addition symbol up here so I don't forget I need to add. Chris has 6 more rocks in his collection than Penny. Together, they have 72 rocks. Okay, together. That kind of makes me think both of them combined, right? Okay. And then I underline the question. And I don't forget to make sure that I write the answer sentence at the bottom. And my answer sentence here is going to be, how many rocks does Chris have? And I'm going to write here, Chris has blank rocks. Okay, I'm ready now to solve. So I need to identify who the people are in this particular story. They're people. There's C for Chris and P for Penny. I'm going to go ahead and write C and P. Chris has 6 more rocks in his collection than Penny. Together they have 72 rocks. How many rocks does Chris have? Some friends in the classroom were stuck on this one. Totally fine. Watch what we do. So we make sure that right now, the first tip that I've given friends is make sure you first make it equal. So right now, it looks like they both have the same amount. We don't know how many they each have, okay? So I'm going to write a variable. This time I'm going to pick M. Okay? M is a variable. So right now, it looks like they both have the same number of rocks. But here it says Chris has 6 more rocks in his collection than Penny. So what do we do when it says 6 more? When we're adding, not multiplying, but adding. In bar models, when you add, you don't make the same size. You actually make a little box like this to show that you're adding that amount. And in this case, you're adding 6 more. So you put that 6 right in that box. Okay? And then what you do is you look at, so we did this part, you go on to the second part. It says together they have 72 rocks. So I'm going to show that. This is 72 rocks. And then this is the part where I know some of you are like, well, we don't know what to do next. And that's okay. And I had shared, well, you have this information, 72. You have this information, the 6. What would you need to do to figure out these two? These two groups are equal. And I said, well, imagine if you only had these 2 groups, what would you do? What would you need to do first? And some of you did share that you need to get rid of that 6. And so what you would need to do is take that 6 away from that 72. So that's the first step. You would do 72 minus 6. And I said, make sure you show it to me this way so I can see all of your work. You can't do 2 minus 6. You take from here. This becomes a 12. 12 minus 6 is 6. And so we have 66. What does that 66 mean? That 66 represents these two equal boxes or bars, okay? So we need to take that 66 and now split it between these two equal boxes. So we have to do 66 divided by 2. That's going to be my second step. 66 divided by 2, okay? And I can set up my place value and say 2 goes into 6 3 times. That's really a 30. So 2 times 30 is 60. I get a 6. 2 goes into 6 3 times. 2 times 3 is 6. And I get 0. My quotient here is 33. What does that mean? That's this M right here. That's that M. And so what does that mean? How many does Chris have? I still have to do step 3. Step 3, I'm going to bring it right here, is 33 plus 6, which is 39. And so we can say Chris has 39 rocks. That was a lot of work, a lot of stopping, marking up, going back. So we're going back and forth. We need to know our addition, multiplication, division, subtraction. That is why, friends, we have this is called multi operations, because you're doing a lot of different operations within word problems. And don't forget, you can do hard things, okay? This is hard work that we're doing, and you've got it. You can watch this video at any time. We're going to keep moving forward with bar models. You have some tonight for practice. So try your best, and we'll look at this again tomorrow. Okay, bye.